Well, you heard a minute ago from Nina Easton about judges in Iran who impose cruel and unusual punishment on children and are on the blacklists in Europe. We're going to hear from another kind of a judge who upholds the Bill of Rights, the rule of law, and the freedom of American people. Congressman Ted Poe is with us today, a Republican of Texas. Judge Poe is the chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee Subcommittee on Terrorism and Nonproliferation and Trade, and he's a member of the Iran Human Rights and Democracy Caucus. I think that covers about everything we want to talk about. Welcome, Judge Poe.
Thank you very much. Howdy. Let's try that one more time. Howdy. I'm from Texas, and that's the way we greet folks. And if you're ever in that other country of Texas, you can remember that. But I'm Ted Poe. I'm a member of Congress, used to be a judge, as pointed out. I want to thank the panelists for waiting so that members of Congress can have a couple of minutes to make comments. And thank you for being here. I serve as chairman of the Terrorism Subcommittee in Foreign Affairs. I have spent the last few days going over the agreement that the United States has made, along with other European powers, with Iran. It concerns me for a great deal for several reasons, and I'll cut straight to the chase. In 10 years, the United States of America legitimizes the nuclear weapon development of Iran. We make it legal worldwide. It has always been the policy of the United States that Iran will never have nuclear weapons. It has changed. 10 years plus, it is legitimized. In 5 years, they will be able to import weapons, conventional weapon material, because the export or the import ban will be lifted for conventional weapons that have now been banned from being imported into Iran. In 8 years, they'll be able to legitimately develop intercontinental ballistic missiles. Now, an intercontinental ballistic missile, you have this big missile to send nuclear weapons to somebody else. You don't need intercontinental ballistic missiles to, let's say, shoot over missiles into Israel. Iran already has missiles that will do that. So why would they need intercontinental ballistic missiles? To send a nuclear weapon to the West or to the United States. 5 years, conventional weapon arms embargo lifted. 8 years, ICBMs development legalized. 10 years plus one, nuclear weapons legalized. That should concern you because most of you are young people. It'll affect you. And obviously, it's made a lot of folks nervous because my opinion, when Iran gets nuclear weapons, we will see an arms race in the Middle East. Saudi Arabia will get them. Turkey will get them. Egypt will get them. Isn't that lovely? So we'll have nuclear arms race in the Middle East. Just disregard the United States in that situation. And soon the Iranian government will have sanctions lifted that will allow them to get anywhere from $50 to $150 billion. That people are debating how much. It's billions of dollars they're going to get. So what can they do with that money? Whatever they wish to do with that money. One thing I think they will do with that money is what they've done in the past, remain the #1 world sponsor of terrorism. And they will help send that money to different terrorist groups if they wish, because they are causing mischief throughout the world with their proxy terrorist groups. And then the oil sanctions will be lifted against them. I am from Texas. The federal government prohibits us from exporting crude oil to other countries. But yet we're going to lift sanctions on the exporting of crude oil from Iran, but the sanctions against us in the United States who want to export crude oil remain. Seems a little inconsistent to me. We'd like the same deal that the Iranian government's getting. Lift the export ban against the United States as well. And as I have mentioned before, we'll even promise not to develop nuclear weapons down there in Texas if they'll lift the ban. But anyway, and what does all that do back home in Iran? It stabilizes this government. It helps their economy. It makes it more difficult for free people in Iran to take control of their government. And all of this conversation about Iran and the deal, one thing that was conveniently left out was the human rights violations of Iran against their own people. Public hangings take place, and they're hangings without a trial. The oppression against people in Iran is very disturbing. And the greatest hope for world peace, for stability in Iran, is for the people of Iran to have a chance to change the regime. Giving them all but propping up the Iranian government's economy makes that more difficult. This has been more difficult on the free people of Iran to take over their country. So down the road, I think it should be our policy, and it was mentioned in our Foreign Affairs Committee yesterday by some witnesses, that the United States should encourage peaceful regime change in Iran. Because their policy, the policy of the Ayatollah has not changed. His policy can be summed up in 3 words: death to America. I think we should believe him when he says that. Death to America. They want to destroy us. That government wants to destroy us. And of course, we all know they want to destroy Israel. So the world is not going to be a safer place, in my opinion. And I hope that we understand the reality of this agreement. I don't need to talk about it, hear about why we got here and blaming other administrations and all of that. It's not necessary. Here's where we are today. So when Congress continues to review this, Congress will vote on it. Congress, I think, should vote on whether or not we should be bound by this agreement. And I can tell you, based upon what I have learned by reading the document, I am and will continue to be an absolute no on voting to approve this agreement. And that's just the way it is. Thank you very much.
Congressman Ted Poe, thank you very much.